My wife saw other kindergarten parents going on trips every weekend on social media and demanded I take her too. After I refused, she berated me harshly. Those other couples go traveling every weekend. How many times have you taken me? I make this one small request, and you refuse me. Don't I give you 20,000 yuan pocket money every month? If you want to go, take our son and enjoy yourselves. I really have to work overtime on weekends. I can't manage it. Work overtime, work overtime, work overtime. It's always the same excuse. I'm sick of hearing it. You keep bringing up the 20,000 like it's a big deal. You earn over 50,000 a month and only give me 20,000. You think that's a lot? As I listened to her accusations over the phone, looking at the unfinished documents on my work computer, I laughed at myself mockingly. Huh. In her eyes, my mother takes care of our son. The housekeeper does the cooking and cleaning. I pay for all expenses, and giving her 20,000 yuan monthly pocket money still makes her feel shortchanged. I'm exhausted. Time to give up. I want to see how she'll maintain her comfortable lifestyle when I stop making money. My son is 4 years old this year. Since his birth, it's been my mother and our housekeeper who have raised him, while my wife only cares about her own entertainment, occasionally picking up our child from school when she feels like it. That day, my wife put on beautiful makeup, wore a pretty new outfit, and carried the designer bag I bought her for 80,000 yuan to pick up our son from kindergarten. I actually didn't support her buying such an expensive bag, but she used our 7th wedding anniversary as an excuse and blamed me for frequently working overtime and spending little time with her. I couldn't argue with her, so I finally bought it. After picking up our son, she complained that he didn't like seafood, dropped him off with my mother, and went out to eat with her girlfriends. At the dinner table, the two discussed manicures, gossiped about people they disliked, showed off their luxury items to each other, then took photos, edited them, and posted them on social media. After posting on social media, they browsed through it as usual. As they were browsing, they saw someone showing off photos of their family traveling abroad again. This Zhang Zihan's mom posts photos of their family trips every weekend and holiday. What's she showing off for? Just as her friend finished complaining, the wife also came across the post from Zhang Zihan's mom. She clicked on the profile and discovered that not only had they traveled abroad during the Mid-Autumn Festival and National Day holiday, but they also never missed a single weekend getaway. When weekends were short, they would take flights for domestic travel. The wife's finger kept sliding across her phone screen, scrolling through Zhang Zihan's mom's photos one AF to another. There seemed to be a flame burning in her eyes, and this accompanying emotion silently circled at the tip of her heart. She's just like that. Doesn't do anything all day, only knows how to show off. After scrolling through for a while, my wife quickly grew impatient. She put down her phone after making a sour remark. My wife's friend was just like her. Her good mood had been disturbed by the photos others were showing off in their social media posts. The two of them quickly finished their meal and each returned to their own homes. When my wife got home, our son wanted her to play with him for a while, but she waved her hand and impatiently replied, "Go next door and ask your grandmother to play with you." Since he was little, I had taught our son to respect and be considerate of his mother, so he obediently went next door, even though in his heart he deeply longed to spend time with his mother and had to make an effort to restrain himself. My wife lay comfortably on the sofa browsing on her phone. After waiting and waiting for me to come home from work, she finally called me. I was working overtime in the office and felt tired, wearily massaging my temples with my fingers. When I heard my phone vibrate, I instinctively thought it was my boss looking for me, or someone on my team had made another mistake and was urgently calling me to clean up their mess. After hesitating for about 10 seconds, I temporarily suppressed my irritation and picked up the phone. Seeing it was a call from my wife, I was surprised, but even more so, I felt sweetness and joy. As far as I could remember, my wife rarely called me at this time. "Hey, honey, when are you coming home from work?" As soon as I answered the call, my wife's voice came through the phone. Hearing her ask when I'd be home with some urgency in her voice, I thought something might have happened, so I quickly asked her, "Did something happen? If something happened, I'll come home right away to deal with it." "Nothing happened. I just saw you weren't coming back yet, and I couldn't wait anymore. I have something to ask you." Hearing that nothing was wrong, I breathed a sigh of relief, then gently asked, "What did you want to ask me?" "Let's go on an international trip this weekend. Domestic travel works too." Today I saw my son's classmate's mother's social media posts. The photos she took on her trip looked so good. I want that too. My wife was excited like a bouncing rabbit, her enthusiasm no less than the day she received an $80,000 designer bag. However, today my boss told me that the recent work is especially important, asking me to work harder and follow up properly, with no slacking even on weekends. Although I also want to go on a trip with my wife to relax, I really can't get away at all because I need to earn money. Thinking of this, I could only refuse my wife with great regret. "Honey, I'm really busy these week." And yes, my boss specifically reminded me not to slack off. I really can't make time. How about we wait until I'm done with this busy period? Although I refused my wife, I patiently explained the reason. But my wife wouldn't accept it and started shouting on the other end of the phone. Everyone else goes traveling together every week. How many times have you accompanied me? I just have this one small request, and you still have to refuse me. I was already under a lot of pressure. Now I have to work overtime. Can't let any mistakes happen at work. My nerves are stretched tight, and I'm nearly at my breaking point. Now, because of a small matter, my wife doesn't understand me, but instead makes unreasonable demands, leaving me both mentally exhausted and irritated. Don't I give you 20,000 yuan of spending money every month? If you really can't wait, just take our son and go have a good time. I need to work overtime on the weekend. I really can't make it. I tried hard to control the irritation in my heart, didn't argue with her, and even gave her a practical suggestion. But even more furious howling came from my wife's end. Overtime, overtime, overtime. It's always the same excuse. I'm sick of hearing it. I don't bother you most of the time, and now I just make one small request, and you lose your temper with me? You always make a big deal about the 20,000 yuan. You earn over 50,000 a month, and you only give me 20,000. Do you really think that's a lot? What the hell can I do with 20,000 yuan? A few shopping trips, a few dinners out, and there's barely anything left. And you have the nerve to keep bringing this up? She was furious, questioning and condemning me one statement after another, giving me no chance to explain myself, let alone expecting any understanding from her. She now believes everything is my fault, that I give her too little money, that I don't earn enough, that I failed her. But is 20,000 yuan really too little for personal spending money? Every month I work hard, putting in basically 14 to 15 hours on standby daily, working without breaks throughout the year. I currently earn over 50,000, nearly 60,000 yuan per month, and without fail, I give her 20,000 yuan monthly as spending money. I never question what she does with the money, and I pay for all the household expenses myself. From everyday expenses like clothing and food, to social obligations, supporting both sets of parents in their old age, children's tuition fees, hiring a housekeeper to cook and clean, and various other miscellaneous costs. All of these are paid with money from my pocket. What's more, I still have to occasionally buy expensive gifts for my wife on holidays to keep her happy. I remember when I first started working, my monthly salary was just over 10,000 yuan, but I was still able to save money after covering basic expenses. How is it that with my wife, who doesn't have to worry about expenses and only spends on herself, 20,000 yuan is still not enough? What does she mean by saying 20,000 is barely enough to do shit? As I listened to her accusations over the phone while looking at the unfinished files on my office computer, I laughed at myself mockingly. In her eyes, my mother takes care of our son. A housekeeper does the cooking and cleaning. I pay for all expenses, and giving her 20,000 yuan monthly pocket money still makes her feel wronged. Even so, I still didn't have a big argument with her. Being a man, you should be broad-minded. Endure for a moment, and all will be calm. Take a step back, and the sea becomes wide and the sky vast. Why argue with your own wife? Don't keep arguing, or you'll tear the family apart. I consoled myself this way, and my heart became somewhat calmer. Let's do this. I'll give you another 10,000, so you can take our son traveling on the weekend. I promise you, once this busy period is over, I'll apply for leave from the company. I had already compromised again and again, but my wife still wouldn't let it go. Busy, busy, busy. Only you are busy. You're busier than the CEO of a listed company. You make so little money in a month, not even enough to buy me a handbag. When I ask you to spend time with me, you're unwilling. You really think too highly of yourself. Other people's husbands not only make good money, but also cater to their wives' every wish. Wherever their wives want to go, they go immediately. Unlike you, always making excuses. Even when giving money, you're so stingy, 10,000 here, 20,000 there, like you're giving handouts to beggars. Originally, I already had a lot of resentment about working overtime, but I endured it to earn money so my family could enjoy a better life. But the money I earn day and night at the company is just giving to beggars in her eyes. At the company, I'm under constant pressure, afraid of making even the slightest mistake, having to clean up after my subordinates, and even bearing the wrath of my superiors and the competition from my peers. Now, she casually says that the money I work so hard to earn is just giving to beggars. How can I possibly tolerate this? Last time I wanted to buy new clothes, you thought they were too expensive and wouldn't buy them for me. Your mother nagging about me buying a bag is one thing, but you also complain about me spending money. What's wrong with me spending money? I'm your wife. I'm supposed to spend it. As I listened to her continuing to criticize me without pause, the veins on my forehead throbbed, and the anger I had suppressed for so long finally erupted like a volcano. Enough! I shouted angrily, frightening her into silence. Are you ever going to stop? You wanted to travel, and I explained nicely, even offering you money to enjoy yourself. And you? You went on and on, complaining that I wouldn't accompany you, complaining that I didn't give enough money, and complaining that my mother criticized the expensive bag you bought. An 80,000 yuan bag. Even your mother thought it was too expensive. And you have the nerve to bring up other people's husbands. They're all rich heirs with money to burn. How can you compare us to them? Yes, they have money, and I don't have the ability to give you the luxurious life you want. If you admire them so much, why don't you marry one of them and be their wife instead? I released the words that had been bottled up in my chest, but I didn't feel much relief. My venting didn't bring her to her senses. Instead, it made her even more furious and hysterical. "Ah!" she screamed, the sound particularly piercing through the phone speaker. "What's gotten into you? Did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed or something? Did I say something wrong? Is it just because you don't make as much money as others, and now people can't even mention it? If you can't handle this mentally, why don't you just go hang yourself? Do you think you're so great? Making so little money every day while staying away from home. Who are you trying to impress? If I went to work, I'd definitely make more money than you." It was as if I was seeing her for the first time. She had never spoken like this before. Her accusations continued relentlessly while I held my breath, feeling a tightness that was unbearable. "No time for family, can't make good money, and arguing with your wife. You are the most unqualified husband in the world." "Me? The most unqualified husband in the world? I don't smoke or drink, have no bad habits, work hard to support the family, respect both our parents, take care of our child, fulfill almost all of my wife's requests, and rarely argue with her. You could say I'm always there for her, responding to every need. Not only do I tolerate her occasional temper, but I also earn money for her enjoyment. I'd bet my life that if I'm the world's most unqualified husband, there probably aren't many qualified husbands left in the world. I don't want to entertain her making issues out of nothing, nor do I have the energy to continue arguing with her." "Huh, you're capable. You're qualified. Then you go earn money. I'm not working this job anymore. Whoever wants to can do it." After throwing out these words, I immediately hung up the phone, while taking deep breaths to calm myself down. Looking at the empty office, then glancing at the clock on the wall, the hour hand was already pointing to 12. Scanning the surroundings, only my computer screen was still lit up. Everyone else had left long ago. This was the first time she had pushed me to become this angry. Even in my youth when I was so hot-blooded, facing her deliberate provocations, I had never been this furious. Harsh words chill the heart, like the cold of dew. She is the person closest to me, and I don't want to hurt her feelings, so I never respond to her with harsh words. But what about her? Words to berate me come easily to her mouth, criticizing me without reason, belittling me in every possible way through her words. The fact that she can say those things clearly shows she looks down on me from the bottom of her heart. Fine. If she looks down on me, this tiny speck of dust, then I won't get in the way of this precious pearl competing for radiance with the sun and moon. Otherwise, if the precious pearl gets tarnished, she'll blame me again. I'm tired, let it all end. Doesn't she complain that I don't earn enough money, believing she definitely earns more than I do? Then I might as well quit my job and stop working to earn money. I want to see how her good life will continue without my income. If she goes to earn money herself, let's see how much better she can really do than me. For the next several days, we didn't contact each other. I stayed at my mother's place with our son at night, while she remained home alone, doing who knows what. When our son called her, she either didn't answer or hung up immediately, and she never once mentioned coming to see him. My son said he missed his mother, so I had to take him back home to stay. After I tucked my son into bed, I waited on the sofa until I was almost falling asleep before she finally returned. "Where have you been all day? Our son couldn't contact you. Have you really gotten comfortable with being an absent mother who doesn't care about anything anymore?" Looking at her with full makeup, dressed provocatively and alluring, the strong perfume still couldn't mask the overwhelming smell of alcohol, and I immediately became furious. Even in her half-drunk, half-awake state, she still didn't forget to argue with me. "Mind your own business." She grabbed whatever was near her and threw it at me. "Didn't you tell me to go make money? Of course I was out looking for a job. What else would I be doing?" I poured her a cup of hot water and casually asked, "How did it go? Did you find one?" I just said something completely ordinary, but to her ears it became weapons attacking her. Although she was a bit drunk, after being rejected everywhere during her job search these past few days, the critical comments from interviewers circled like a lantern show in her mind, making her increasingly sullen and irritable. "You're applying for an executive position? Your education isn't sufficient, and you have no experience. Are you here to cause trouble? You want 100,000 per month, or even 70 or 80,000. Are you trying to make a mockery of us? Can you look in the mirror at yourself? You have nothing to offer yet dare to ask for so much. Leave now, we don't have time to waste on you. You're already 32 years old, and you don't have a single decent work experience to show. We might barely consider you for an office clerk position, 3,000 per month, considering you've been unemployed for so many years. You look decent enough, with a nice figure too. Why not be a receptionist? You won't have to do much work, 2,800 per month. If you really want to work here, we can only offer you a salary of 3,000. Sorry, you don't meet our recruitment requirements. These unbearable words crowded my mind, making my headache worse the more I thought about them. I watched my wife drinking water while deep in thought, her eyes vacant. She then held her head in both hands, pressing her temples and occasionally rubbing between her eyebrows. Considering all the alcohol she had consumed today, I guessed her job search must be going terribly. Having crawled through the professional world for several years myself, I knew well the treachery of human nature in the workplace. Even as someone who has benefited from male privilege, I have to admit that society is simply unfriendly to women. Young women, despite their education, are often relegated to cheap clerical positions that waste their lives. When they're no longer young and can't work overtime, they're frequently replaced by newer, younger women. Even exceptionally talented women are, for various reasons, still replaced by less competent men. During recruitment, employers scrutinize not just education, abilities, and gender, but also appearance and age. Those too young are dismissed for knowing nothing. Those with a few years of work experience are feared for potential marriage and childbirth. For those already married with children who are somewhat independent, employers worry about them having a second child, or they simply dismiss them for being too old. I didn't need to ask her to know what she had been facing these past few days. Being in my position, I often have to convey the boss's intentions, and these are essentially the unspoken consensus among most bosses, with rare exceptions. Seeing her distressed expression, I ultimately couldn't bear it and wanted to help her. Having trouble finding work? Why don't I introduce you to some opportunities? Heaven knows, I had no intention of mocking or ridiculing her. I was simply a husband concerned for his wife. But still upset, she wouldn't listen to anything I said. No matter what I said, she found it offensive and grating, completely unwilling to receive my signals. Stop mocking me. I don't need your help. I've just been out of work for too long. I'll be fine after a while. After saying this, she staggered to her feet, supporting herself on the furniture, and made her way along the wall to the bathroom to wash up. I sighed, partly out of frustration at being unable to communicate with her, and partly wondering when she would come to her senses and when this situation would finally end. For the next 2 weeks, I remained busy with company matters while she continued looking for work. We'll wrap things up in just over a month, so keep a close eye on everything during this time. My boss gave me this instruction before resuming his hands-off management style, leaving me and a group of colleagues to work overtime with great enthusiasm. Compared to everyone else's tense expressions, I appeared extremely relaxed. After all, I planned to resign once this busy period was over. I estimated I could rest in about 2 months. With this lighthearted attitude, I would finish work and head home. When I got home, everything was as expected. What a bunch of idiots. I have a degree from a 985 university, and they don't appreciate it, hiring ordinary people who just graduated instead. I clearly have internship experience at a big company, yet these small shabby companies dare to look down on me. I really don't understand. The Qing dynasty fell so many years ago, but these interviewers, with their brains wrapped in smelly foot cloths, still make an issue of gender. Just because I'm a woman, even though I'm so much better than that male candidate. It's blatant gender discrimination. And then some say I don't deserve a salary of 80 or 100,000, insulting me with an offer of 3,000 yuan. How dare they even open their mouths? This lousy company offering 3,000 for a clerical position, and they still demand I work 9 hours a day with only 1 day off on weekends. They should just go bankrupt already. I'm so furious. I heard my wife complaining to her friend on the phone again about her job search. This has become quite common recently. However, it's clear my wife hasn't given up and is determined to keep fighting. A few days later, it was time for me to give my wife her monthly allowance. This time, however, I didn't transfer the money to her bank card. In the evening, my son and I were eating the meal prepared by our housekeeper when she came home and slammed the door loudly. My son jumped in fright. I told him to take his food back to the bedroom to eat, and not to come out until I called him. From my wife's demeanor, it seemed unavoidable that we would have a big argument today. Where's the 20,000 yuan? Why wasn't it transferred to my card? Do you know that today I went out for a meal and couldn't even pay the bill? Do you have any idea how much face I lost in front of my friends? Do you know how long I waited for this meal today? I finally managed to set up this appointment, and if you've ruined it, I won't let this go. From what she was saying, it seemed like she was treating someone to a meal to help with finding a job. But what kind of good job could be arranged over just one meal? I instinctively wanted to argue with her, but afraid that fighting would scare my son, I forcibly held myself back. Heck, you could have just messaged me on WeChat, and I would have transferred the money to you. Don't start arguing as soon as you get home. You'll scare our son. I had only said one sentence, but she acted as if my offense was unforgivable. My friend already paid for the meal, so transfer the money to her. 10,000 yuan. Hurry up. I had thought it would be 5,000 at most, but I couldn't have imagined it would be 10,000 yuan. Were you eating gold that it costs so much? Once again, I felt the pain in my wallet, but more than that, I couldn't understand what kind of meal could cost 10,000. But she thought I was being stingy, that I didn't love her anymore, that I was reluctant to spend even that small amount on her. It's just 10,000 yuan, what's the big deal? All these questions, do you not want to pay? I picked up my phone and quickly transferred the money to her. I've sent you the money. Pay your friend back yourself and stop owing people money. She glanced at her phone, her expression still sour. You're only making 10,000. What are you going to do with that? Didn't you say you'd transfer 60,000 to me? At the very least, it should be 30,000. I snickered. Where would I get 30 or 60,000? Don't you just owe someone 10,000? She threw her phone down in front of me to express her dissatisfaction. Stop playing dumb with me. Didn't you say before that you'd give me money to travel? And what about the 20,000 monthly allowance? Why aren't you giving that to me anymore? Also, I spent money too quickly last month and borrowed 20,000 from someone else. You should pay all of that back for me. What nonsense was she talking about? How could she be so shameless? I began to doubt my own ears. I give you 20,000 every month, and it's bad enough that you spend it all. Now you're actually racking up debt behind my back. Where's your dignity? Do you even care anymore? Hearing me talk to her like this, her expression became even more ferocious. It's just spending a bit of your stinking money. Why are you being so fierce about it? Huh? I laughed coldly. Fine. If my money stinks, then earn and spend your own money. If you've got the guts, stop asking me for handouts. After I finished speaking, my hands were shaking with anger. She was stunned by my shouting, but then she recovered and started scratching and clawing at me. After I stopped her, she cried pitifully for a while. I didn't want to deal with her anymore, so I went into the bedroom to comfort our son. Although I tried to control myself, when two people are in the heat of an argument, the commotion is still quite loud. As soon as I entered the room, my son came running toward me on his short little legs. With a worried face, he asked, Dad, were you arguing with Mom? Seeing such a small child worried about his parents fighting, I felt reluctant but still nodded. Why are you fighting? Is it because of me? I stroked his head and answered gently. No, it's because of money. He looked at me thoughtfully and said, Dad, don't fight with Mom. I can give you all my New Year's money. I smiled and stroked his little face. No need. Dad and Mom will earn money ourselves. We won't touch your New Year's money. Things will get better soon. After comforting my son, I helped him wash up, then tucked him into bed. When I came out, I discovered she was no longer home. The wardrobe was open, some of her clothes were missing, and the bag where we kept our documents was left out. I had a bad feeling. After opening the document bag, I found the bank card with my son's New Year's money was gone. Thinking about the approximately 70,000 yuan in there, I thought, this isn't good. I quickly tried to contact her, but found I was blocked on all contact methods. I tried using my son's, and found that didn't work either. I had no choice but to call my mother-in-law, indirectly asking her to find out where my wife had gone. My mother-in-law called me back quickly, saying her daughter went on a vacation with a good friend to relax, and told me not to worry. Hearing this result, I felt quite uneasy, but could only accept it for now. For several days in a row, my wife didn't call me, nor did she send any messages, as if using her silence to express her dissatisfaction, or even to force me to compromise and apologize to her. If it were some minor issues in the past, I naturally wouldn't have minded, and would have promptly bought gifts to pacify her, definitely not letting small conflicts last overnight. But now it's different. Seeing how she's becoming increasingly excessive, her so-called job hunting turned out to be giving up after a short while, and using our son's New Year money to go traveling. I was speechless with anger. After finishing work and returning home, I unexpectedly received a call from her. Transfer me 100,000 yuan. I'm not coming back this month. I want to become a travel blogger and start a business to make money. I almost felt like her words had shattered my thoughts completely. What? $10,000? Making money through entrepreneurship? Hearing my question, she lost all patience and became angry again. I told you to transfer me 100,000 yuan. I'm not just playing around. This is serious entrepreneurship. What's wrong with that? You don't want to. I'm your wife. Your money should be spent on me. With a wife as beautiful as me, you should hurry up and give me more money. Why are you hesitating? She was still like this, refusing to change her ways. Are you serious? You just open your mouth and ask. Pay me for 100,000 yuan. Don't you know expenses are high lately? Besides, I just gave you 20,000 yuan this month, and it hasn't even been a week, and you've already spent it all? I really couldn't understand how she managed to spend 20,000 yuan in just 1 week. If you won't give it, then don't. Who needs your stinking money? Again, she just threw down a line and hung up. When I called back, she had blocked me. I tried each one, and sure enough, she had blocked me on all contact methods. Because I wouldn't send her money, and since she had squandered most of our son's New Year's money, she finally deigned to come back home. Who knows how her so-called travel blogger entrepreneurship was going? I sat on the sofa drinking water, thinking about how to tactfully ask her about it. But before I could ask her anything, she went on the offensive. She abruptly blurted out, "Where's my apology gift?" Hearing this baffling question, I was stunned for a moment. Then I understood. Apparently, not only was she completely unaware of her own mistakes, but she actually thought I was in the wrong and that I should be trying to win her back. I lowered my voice and replied coldly, "There isn't one." She immediately jumped up from the sofa, hurled a cushion at me forcefully, while angrily demanding, "There isn't one." I moved aside the cushion that had hit me and stood up as well, my tone growing even colder. "Aren't you the one who complained about me not earning enough? Who said my money stinks? What are you doing acting like this? Didn't you complain that I'm too stingy to buy you expensive gifts? Well, perfect. I don't earn much, can't afford it, so I won't buy anything. Besides, I didn't do anything wrong, so why should I specially buy you a gift to appease you?" Seeing how I spoke to her, she became both upset and angry, arguing with me with reddened eyes. "What kind of attitude is that? You're not even willing to buy me a gift. It's a fact that you don't earn much money. Can't I just speak the truth? Every month you only give me a few stinking dollars. Look how capable you think you are, getting too full of yourself." I cut her off. "Oh, speaking the truth, are we? You said you were starting a business, but in reality, you've been blowing our son's New Year money having fun for almost a month, and now you're questioning me. Where's the money you earned from your business? Why aren't you buying gifts for me? You're so capable, then go make money. If you're so great, don't spend my stinking money." We hadn't yet reconciled from our last argument when we got into another one just a few days later. Exhausted from fighting, I got up, put on my coat, grabbed my bag, and stormed out. Being so upset, it wasn't until I reached my mother's house that I realized I was still wearing my slippers. I hadn't even bothered to change my shoes. But I really didn't want to go back and see her face, nor did I want to engage in any more pointless arguments. I shook my head, forcefully clearing the jumbled thoughts from my mind, and decisively drove to the mall to buy myself a pair of leather shoes. It's laughable, really. Despite being the hardest working person in the family, my wife couldn't even remember to buy me a pair of shoes all year. Oh, all her time was occupied with eating, drinking, having fun, getting manicures, doing her hair, and shopping with her girlfriends. Looking at it this way, compared to me being an unqualified husband, she seemed even more unqualified as a wife. For the period that followed, we continued to maintain our state of mutual silence. Although we were under the same roof, bound to see each other coming and going, we still tacitly agreed not to speak. The atmosphere at home was terrifyingly cold, colder than our expressions were our hearts. In the end, it was our son who broke the ice. "Mom, what have you been busy with for so long? Why don't you pay attention to me anymore, or pick me up from Grandma's house? I haven't eaten with you for so long. I really miss you." Our son's childish voice touched her heartstrings, awakening what little maternal love she had. "Mom hasn't been feeling well these past few days, but it will get better soon. Are you happy at Grandma's house? If Mom is too busy to take care of you, you can stay at Grandma's house, or you could go to your maternal grandmother's house too." Hearing her say this, our son looked at her with innocent eyes and naively asked, "How could Mom not have time?" Seeing his wife was stunned, their son asked again, "Is it for getting your nails done, or fixing your hair, or maybe shopping with your friends? Mom, please don't ignore me. I can come too. I'll stay right beside you and be good. I won't cause any trouble at all." Initially, hearing our son's persistent questions, I clearly saw her furrowing her brow, but his subsequent promise while patting his chest made her expression soften considerably. "Because Mom has to work and earn money to support the family, so I don't have time to be with you anymore." When our son heard she was going to work, he quickly praised her to the skies. "Mom is so amazing. Mom's going to make big money. Will you earn even more than Dad?" Of course, after talking with our son, she glanced at me and rolled her eyes. I pretended not to notice her little gesture, only because I didn't want to have another argument in front of our son. Ever since I made the decision to give up, I've become completely awakened. If she wants to make trouble, let her be. After 3 years of dating and 7 years of marriage, I know her personality better than anyone. She can only see things within her own understanding, and she's extremely proud, argumentative, and as stubborn as a mule who won't turn back until she hits a wall. In the evening, after our son fell asleep, she came out from the bedroom to the living room. "You sleep with your son tonight." Hearing her commanding tone, it would be a lie to say I wasn't bothered. I immediately retorted, "What do you mean your son? Isn't he your son too?" "Huh, stop pretending. I know exactly what men like you think about. Didn't you marry me just to continue your family line? I still remember how happy your entire family was when our son was born. Honestly, if it was just about continuing the family line, I could have found anyone. But I worked hard and helped buy a house because I genuinely wanted to marry her and give her a better life. In my heart, rather than continuing the family line. Our son is the crystallization of our love. If we're talking about my attachment to having a son, it's actually not that strong. I've always told her that I prefer a sweet and adorable daughter, my little cotton jacket. It was she who said that no matter what, she wouldn't have a second child after giving birth to our son. I respected her opinion, so I gave up my dream of having a daughter and was considerate of her suffering through childbirth, treating her like a princess. Now I see that I was wrong. I shouldn't have spoiled her like this. When conversation isn't harmonious, fewer words are better. I had another argument with her, but in the end, we couldn't reach any conclusion. However, the next day I found that she had left early and came back in the evening looking very pleased, as if something good had happened. Several days later, I saw her at my company, but I didn't ask her directly. Instead, I took a roundabout approach and casually inquired through an acquaintance. When I learned that she had indeed pulled some strings and landed a job after treating someone to a couple of meals, I initially wanted to admire her resourcefulness. However, what my acquaintance said next made me realize I had overestimated her. It turned out they hired her only because of me. They wanted to bring my wife on board for 10,000 yuan as a way to gain my favor, hoping I would help remove their rival and allow them to climb the ladder. When I got home that evening and saw how happy she was about her new job, I didn't have the heart to tell her the truth. However, since my current work was winding down, I was planning to resign. I estimate that in about a month, I'll be unemployed. She had been happily playing with her phone while lying on the couch, but when I suddenly dropped this bombshell, she bolted upright in shock. "What? You're going to be unemployed?" she screamed. I sat calmly on the adjacent sofa and confirmed. "Yes, I'll be unemployed in another month." Thinking about teaching her a lesson, I mischievously asked, "Why are you making such a big deal about this? Didn't you find a job?" She shifted her gaze away from me and awkwardly said, "It's nothing, just that your announcement was so sudden." "There's nothing sudden about it. That's just how private companies work." I didn't explain the specific reasons to her, just gave this vague response. But she began to feel indignant on my behalf. "How can they do this? If you suddenly become unemployed, how will we handle the household expenses?" Hearing her ask this, I knew she had taken the bait. I put on an expression of dejection and difficulty. "There's nothing we can do about it. We're just employees after all." Then, I looked at her with slight delight. "Don't worry, wife. I have you now. You have a job now. You must be earning more than me. Not to say 200,000 or 300,000, but you make at least 100,000 a month, right?" My eyes were sparkling as I stared at her intently, but she awkwardly avoided my gaze and escaped back to the bedroom. After submitting my resignation letter, I only needed to hand over my current work to others within this month. I was counting down every day, no longer working overtime, and enjoying life thoroughly. But my wife was becoming more like how I used to be, busy from dawn to dusk every day. As the new year approached, my days of rest were coming soon too. Despite it being winter, I was beaming with joy every day. As I finished another countdown and was happily leaving work, I accidentally ran into my wife standing with my archenemy, talking. I quietly moved to the stairwell one floor up, where I could clearly hear their conversation. I heard my wife ask the other person, "My husband will soon no longer work here. I went to the same school as him before, and my grades were much better than his. I think once he leaves, his position would be perfect for me to take." The other person replied irritably, "You? Do you have the work experience? Making such big claims. Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue?" My wife hates it most when people look down on her. Her tone immediately changed, and her voice rose a few notches. "What's wrong with me? I can accept just 50,000 per month, lower than his monthly salary." As soon as my wife finished speaking, the other person laughed. "Huh, you have the nerve to say just 50,000. I don't even make 50,000. If he leaves, that vacant position should rightfully be mine. Who do you think you are?" My wife cut in. "You take his position, I'll take yours." "That's perfect." The other person laughed even louder. "Looking at you, you seem quite ill. I thought you wanted to discuss something important with me, but it turns out you're just crazy." After finishing laughing and speaking, he rudely gestured for her to leave. Get out, get out, get out right now. Don't waste my time when I'm busy with important matters." I heard their footsteps fade away before I left, arriving home before my wife. My wife had been upset earlier today, and I thought she would take out her anger on me when she got home, but she surprised me. Today, she was unusually gentle, giving me a momentary sense of disorientation, as if we had returned to when we first met. "Honey, can I discuss something with you?" She came over to me, hugged me, and spoke in a coaxing tone. "What is it? Tell me." I replied in the gentlest voice I could manage, though inwardly I was eager to know what she was really up to. Seeing that I had reverted to my usual compliant self around her, she spoke frankly. "Since you're about to resign, why don't you talk to the boss about letting me take your position?" I unclasped her hands, grabbed her arms, and asked her with confusion, "Aren't you doing well at your job? It's not easy to find a job that pays well. Don't switch so casually." My wife grumbled silently to herself. "What a bullshit good job. When payday came and she saw her pay stub showing less than $8,000, she didn't even know why she had been working so hard with all that overtime. Honey, I'm leaving in less than 10 days, and I can't really talk to the boss. Besides, your job pays well, let's not change it. The family will have to rely on you in the future. She was easily blocked by my successive statements, smiled awkwardly, then casually responded with a few words before returning to the bedroom. In the following days, I left work easily every day, enjoying a heavenly life I had never imagined before. But my wife was leaving early and returning late, being ostracized by colleagues at the company, scolded by superiors, and harassed by older men. She had so much work that she couldn't finish even with overtime, and often brought it home to complete. And that's not even the worst part. After I completely resigned and moved all my things out, everyone finally understood that I had truly quit, not just taken a vacation. With me no longer at the company, those who had previously tolerated my wife out of respect for me now completely stopped holding back. We thought she was so capable, every day acting so arrogant, as if we were born owing her something. Previously heard she had someone backing her up above, but now with no one above supporting her. Let's see how well she fares. She took my position through underhanded means. Let's see if she can still keep her seat now. It seems my wife hadn't been at the company long, but she had made quite a few enemies. Otherwise, I wouldn't have so easily encountered people bad-mouthing her behind her back. In the past, I would have definitely angrily scolded those gossipers severely. Why? Not allowing them to say anything negative about my wife. But now let them talk. A sudden loud scream woke me from my sleep. I sat up and looked around. It turned out my wife had come home. Is this what you do every day while I'm out working? Just lying on the couch playing with your phone and taking naps? Do you know I'm exhausted like a dog every day? Can't you share some of the burden? Do you have any heart left? After many days of silence, she finally exploded. But I didn't want to give in to her, and even added fuel to the fire. What are you yelling about? I'm just playing on my phone and taking naps. I'm not out messing around, and I'm not spending money recklessly. Why are you shouting at me? I worked hard for several years, working overtime every day and got through it. Didn't you always claim you're better than me? So what can't you endure? Besides, when I was working and making money before, weren't you doing the same thing, or even worse? I never got angry with you, so why are you getting angry with me? I was merely doing to her what she had done to me before, and not even a tenth of it, yet she couldn't take it anymore. Seeing her nearly frantic expression, I changed my tone. Honey, you're the most capable one in our family now. We really need to rely on you. I don't have a job now, so this family can only depend on you to provide. Didn't you say your salary was higher than mine? Then supporting the family should be quite easy, right? If you're really tired, we could go get a massage together to relax. How about that place you often go to? As I spoke, I started getting dressed, preparing to go out. I could tell she really wanted to come with me, but thinking about the expensive cost, equivalent to half a month of her salary, she suddenly became distressed. No, I'm tired. Let's just go to bed early. I don't want to go out anymore. She hastily brushed it off, afraid I might insist on taking her to spend money. Come to think of it, I've noticed my wife has been so busy with work lately that she's not taking care as much with her appearance, and she's looking quite haggard. It seems she's not having an easy time. Seeing her firm refusal to go out, I had no choice but to drop it. But before she went into the bedroom, I gave her a strong dose of reality. By the way, since our roles have been reversed, I'll trouble you to take responsibility for all the household expenses from now on. I used to handle it quite well before, and since you're more capable than me, you shouldn't have any problems, right? I hadn't even finished speaking when she quickly shut the bedroom door. I knew she heard me. She just didn't want to deal with these things that cost both money and energy. I didn't care whether she heard me or not. I notified everyone who contacts me for payments and change. The contact person to my wife. However, before the burden of daily life could fall on my wife's shoulders, her work had already made her retreat. In the afternoon, I was happily playing video games at home, planning to pick up our son from kindergarten when it was time. But I hadn't been playing for long when my wife suddenly came home. Huh? Honey? Aren't you supposed to be at work at this time? Why are you back? I chatted with her while continuing to play my game. She shut down my computer with one swift move, forcibly interrupting my gaming enjoyment, looking furious. I was mistreated at work, and you're just sitting here focused on playing games. I felt completely innocent. You know what? Didn't you used to do the same thing? When I told you I was being ostracized at work, not only did you fail to comfort me, you complained that I was disturbing your phone time and told me to look for my own problems and reflect on myself. Better late than never, the boomerang from years ago finally struck her. Hearing me say this, she froze in place. After a long while, she finally spoke. Honey, I was wrong before. I shouldn't have treated you that way. I really know I was wrong. Could you please not treat me like this? Could you comfort me a little? I'm really feeling terrible right now. Before she could finish her 2 sentences, her face was already covered in tears, her whole body shaking with sobs. All right, tell me what happened at your company. Seeing her cry, although it pained my heart, I knew the lesson wasn't profound enough yet, so I could only stabilize her emotions first. Under my comfort, she gradually calmed down. Although she appeared as docile as a rabbit, there was still little change within her. Husband, I'm not happy at all at the company. They all deliberately bully me, making me do the most work, and my boss doesn't understand how hard I work overtime. He just scolds me. Those colleagues not only don't help me with my work, but they deliberately mock me and talk behind my back, laughing at me. After my wife poured out a continuous stream of complaints to me, she still wouldn't stop. Honey, I don't want to work anymore. You're more suited for working. I didn't mean those things I said before. I was just joking around with you. Starting tomorrow, I won't go to work anymore. You go to work instead. I only need 30,000 yuan per month as pocket money, and I won't interfere with anything else. With you handling things, I feel much more at ease. How does she have the nerve to say this to me? Looks like she still hasn't learned her lesson. I abruptly let go of her hand, furrowing my brow, with anger burning in my eyes. What's this? Weren't you the one saying you wanted to work, you wanted to earn money, that you were better than me? Who are you putting on this act for now? Let me be clear with you. Even if you don't want to work, you have to. I'm not joking with you. Earning money to support the family is not a joke. You need to follow through on the promises you made yourself. After saying this, I immediately left the house, rushing to pick up my child from kindergarten after requesting leave. Then I took my son and flew off on a vacation. I enjoyed the scenery outside, eating, drinking, and having fun with my son, having a wonderful time. But my wife wasn't feeling so comfortable. Because it was time to pay the electricity bill at home, the housekeeper's salary was due, several insurance premiums for the family needed to be renewed, and the car insurance needed to be reapplied for. And that wasn't even the troublesome part. What was more troublesome was both sets of parents. In previous years around this time, thinking about the approaching new year, I would always give my mother-in-law's family 20,000 yuan for new clothes, New Year's provisions, and other things. This year I had already given my parents their share, but for my mother-in-law's portion, I told her that my wife would be giving it this year. Before leaving for vacation, I knew the electricity bill at home hadn't been paid, and a power outage was bound to happen within 3 to 5 days. I could have easily paid it, but to make my wife understand my difficulties from my perspective, I decisively let it go. In the evening, after my son and I had eaten well and returned to the hotel to watch TV, my wife suddenly called. What's wrong with you? Why didn't you pay the electricity bill? I came home to pitch darkness and almost fell to my death. I entrusted the home to her, and in just a few days, she started calling to interrogate me. I brought the phone back to my ear after having moved it away and mimicked her previous impatient tone. Why make such a fuss about this small matter? The electricity bill is just a few dollars. Couldn't you just pay it yourself? Before she could respond, I continued. Don't disturb me and my son while we're relaxing. Whatever it is, just handle it yourself. Isn't that how you've always treated me? She started to speak, but hesitated. I cut her off. All right, hanging up now, I'm going to sleep. After saying that, I hung up, just like how she used to do when calling me. It felt incredibly satisfying. Later, I checked the electricity bill balance, and sure enough, she had paid it. However, she had stingily paid only 100 yuan. At around the same time as before, my wife didn't call me this time, but sent a message instead. Can you please talk to your mother about bringing me meals every day? I smirked and replied. My mother went back to her hometown early this year. Since I've taken our son out, she's finally getting some time to relax. Why don't you go eat at your mother's place instead? Actually, my mother-in-law had just called me today, asking if my wife and I were having problems, since my wife had been eating at her place every day. I didn't tell her the truth, only saying that since I wasn't home recently, she probably wanted some company and asked her to be accommodating. What I didn't know was that my wife had been freeloading meals at my mother-in-law's house every day, and was even being picky about the food, which had already caused resentment from my sister-in-law. Plus, she was supposed to give her mother holiday money earlier this year, but she's still delaying it. Her sister-in-law can't spend this money, and my mother-in-law hasn't been able to buy new clothes, so naturally, she looks at her with displeasure. She can't get free meals anywhere now, so she probably has to eat out or order takeout. However, she shouldn't buy expensive food, and she probably can't afford takeout much longer either, can she? I opened the camera and saw her eating instant noodles. After watching, I carefully exited. My phone lit up with a message from her. When are you coming back? Haven't you finished your trip yet? I smiled knowingly, counting the days we've been gone. Only 7 or 8 days, still far from the 20-something days she was out. Son says you were gone for more than 20 days back then. We won't stay much longer. We'll definitely be back by New Year's Eve. After sending it, I could imagine her helpless expression on the other side of the phone screen. Must look worse than eating shit. But what could she do about it? These are all consequences of her own past actions. This was far from enough, so I continued with another blow. Did you get paid? Send me 30,000. I want to take our son out for a good time. Also, send another 20,000. We need to buy new clothes for the new year. Right after I sent it, her call came in. She questioned me with the loudest voice she could possibly produce. How dare you ask me for 40,000? I was shocked by her question, then quickly turned to questioning her instead. Isn't this your usual behavior? I give you 20,000 every month, which you spend entirely on yourself. Now for me and our son together, plus buying New Year clothes, it's only 40,000 from you. Why are you getting angry? Could it be that you're stingy with your money and don't want to spend it on us? I am your husband, and this is your son. You should be spending money on us. Besides, didn't you say you earn more than me every month? Why are you being so petty about such a small amount of money? My wife was stunned by my criticism, but she quickly recovered. Your tantrum should have some limits. Is this the time to rehash past issues with me? Don't you understand our current situation? Our family only brings in a few thousand yuan each month, and we have expenses big and small everywhere. Can't you be more frugal? From my perspective, I had never spoken to her this way before, yet she was treating me like this. I felt extremely unbalanced inside and started arguing with her. I never asked you to be frugal before, and I never treated you this way. Now you're just standing in my position, doing what I should have been doing. What's there to be angry about? What? Can't handle it already. My sarcasm drove her to lose all reason. She screamed again and told me to get out immediately. I refused to leave. I directly turned off my phone and removed my son's SIM card, replacing it with a newly purchased one. Since she likes to go silent and give the cold shoulder, let her have a taste of what that feels like. We traveled for 20 days. My son and I visited several cities, having a wonderful time every day. Seeing it was the day before New Year's Eve, we finally bought tickets to return home. I reinserted the SIM card and saw that my wife had sent me over 100 messages. I loaded the messages, then put my phone in airplane mode before boarding the flight, reading them one by one slowly. Why is the nanny asking me for her salary? I didn't pay her, and she actually stopped cooking and cleaning. She's really getting too bold. Also, why do I keep getting calls lately from people urging me to renew insurance payments? And they can accurately state our family's personal information. Why is my mother, out of the blue, asking me why I haven't made money for her yet, saying did I transfer to the wrong account? But I never transferred money to her at all. I told her this, and she's still angry with me. Did you say something behind my back? You're always like this, deliberately messing with me. Is that fun for you? Will you ever stop? Can't get through on the phone, not responding to messages. What game are you playing? Yuri truly insane. For the past few days, she's been sending messages cursing me out every day. From her angry messages, I barely pieced together the frustrating incidents she's encountered during this period. It seems the burden of family responsibilities has started to take its toll, but she's really not handling things well. For these small matters, she could call the bank, and someone would naturally guide her step by step on what to do. The biggest difficulty would just be the money issue. However, money isn't really a major problem right now. Even if she can't earn money at the moment, she could temporarily seek help from friends, which would somehow get her through the difficult times. I continued reading and noticed that her resentment decreased day by day. The messages she sent were no longer so aggressive, and she even managed to solve many problems by herself. Electricity bills and various household expenses have always been the responsibility of whoever earns money. Previously, it was you who took care of them. Now it's me. Since I don't earn much, I always pay the minimum required, which has temporarily solved the problem. I've been bothered by insurance payment reminders for several days. They call multiple times daily urging me to pay. I really couldn't contact you, and I didn't have money on hand, so I had to borrow money to pay it. Before paying, I had no idea that insurance actually costs several tens of thousands of yuan. As for the nanny, she definitely needed to be paid, and she truly didn't want to continue working. When I paid her later, I asked for details. She said she was getting old, couldn't handle it anymore, and wanted to return to her hometown. All payments were settled completely without any ugly scenes. Otherwise, the housekeeping agency would have blacklisted us, making it difficult to hire help in the future. Every year as the new year approaches, our family gives money to both sets of parents for the holiday. I just remembered this. You've really been working hard all these years, always taking care of such matters. But this year I really couldn't come up with the money, so I explained the situation to both sets of parents, and they were all understanding. Are you and our son having a good time outside? I know you don't want to talk to me. I truly realize my mistakes now. In the past, I only cared about my own enjoyment, and I was always comparing myself with others. I squandered money that should have been saved. Now when we really need money, I realize we're struggling to make ends meet. I'm sorry, husband. Actually, I lied to you. I'm not as capable as you are. When I went out looking for jobs, people were only willing to pay me 3,000 yuan, and many wouldn't even hire me. Even this current job I only got by using your name. And although many people try to trip me up, I've been enduring it all. Making money is really difficult. You're amazing to be able to earn so much. I apologize for the mistakes I made before. By the time I finished reading the messages, the plane had already landed. I took my son off the plane, quickly turned off airplane mode on my phone, and called my wife. When my wife answered the call, she didn't scold me first thing, but instead asked with concern, "Did you relax well while you were away? Or would you like to relax more during the new year?" I was delighted by my wife's change, so I returned to my usual gentle demeanor. "Honey, don't worry. But what about you? Have you been exhausted lately? I'll personally cook something delicious for you today, waiting for you to come home after work." My wife gently said, "Okay," on the other end of the phone, then spoke a few words with our son before hanging up to return to her work. In the evening when my wife returned home, our son and I had already prepared dinner. "You're back. Let's eat first. We can talk after dinner." Seeing my wife return, I called out while setting the bowls and chopsticks. My wife sat down quietly and picked up the bowl of rice I had served for her. "Thank you, husband." When I heard these words of thanks, I looked up at her, but she kept her head down, eating her rice. Since we got married, I couldn't remember when she had last said thank you to me. After dinner, my wife surprisingly pulled out small gifts for our child and me from her bag. For our son, it was an inexpensive toy car. "Son, this is what mommy bought for you with the money she earned from work. Although this little car is very inexpensive, mommy will work hard to earn money and buy you better ones in the future. Also, mommy wants to say sorry to you. Mommy spent all your New Year's money, but mommy will definitely make it up to you in the future." The son took the toy car and was extremely happy. "Thank you, mommy, I love it. Also, acknowledging mistakes and correcting them makes you a good child. I forgive you, mommy, but mommy needs to work hard to improve, okay?" Looking at her son who was so adorable and understanding, the wife held him tightly in her arms. After the mother and son were close for quite a while, the son tentatively asked her, "Mommy, I have a gift. What about Daddy?" I was stunned and somewhat at a loss, because my wife had never brought me a gift before. Thinking about this, I began to avoid this awkward moment, quickly clearing the dishes and heading to the kitchen to wash them. I didn't think my wife would buy me a gift, but I was wrong. "Honey, wait a minute." My wife suddenly called to me, then turned to pull out a small box from her bag. She handed the small box to me, her face slightly red, seemingly a bit embarrassed. I took the small box, swallowed nervously, and suddenly felt anxious. "Can I open it?" My voice was a bit hoarse due to nervousness and excitement. My wife nodded. I carefully opened the small box along the seams, reluctant to tear even the packaging. I finally opened it, and a blue and white striped tie lay quietly inside. "I noticed you only wear those same two ties back and forth, so I bought you a new one." After she said this, we both fell silent. Although I didn't say anything, my heart was already in turmoil. My wife actually bought me a gift, and she even noticed these small details. It seems she has truly changed for the better. My wife is exactly the opposite of me. Her silence was because she thought I didn't like it, or that the gift wasn't good enough, especially since I had already left the company and wouldn't be wearing suits and ties anymore. "Dad, do you like the gift Mom gave you?" My son's childish voice spoke up, and my wife looked at me expectantly. "My Adam's apple," bobbed as I uttered a sentence. "I love it." "Thank you, dear." Hearing this, my wife smiled happily. That smile was more captivating than ever before. At night, we lay in bed together, my wife nestled in my arms, whispering to me, "Honey, I'm sorry, I was wrong." I finally heard my wife apologize to me in person. I held her tighter in my arms, moved closer to her ear, and repeated what our son had just said. "If you know your mistake and correct it, you're a good child. I forgive you." But my wife didn't think that was enough, and continued to confess her wrongdoings. "I shouldn't have been so selfish, ignoring you and our child, not taking care of anything at home, only thinking about my own enjoyment. I shouldn't have tried to compete with others, buying so many impractical luxury items and spending all our money. I'm an unqualified wife, an unqualified mother, and even an unqualified daughter. I've let my family down. I shouldn't have called the money you worked hard to earn dirty money. Shouldn't have complained it wasn't enough. Shouldn't have dismissed your hard work. I, who benefited without contributing, who spent your money, had no right to say such things. I hurt you deeply. Work is really exhausting. I can't eat or sleep well, and I'm mentally and physically drained every day. Making money is so difficult, so difficult. I can't find a job. I can't run my own business well, and after working myself to death, I only earn a few thousand. You're really amazing. I was too arrogant. I'm not worthy to compare myself to you." My wife continued to criticize herself while sobbing in my arms. At some point later, she fell asleep, still apologizing in her dreams. During this time, she has truly suffered. I felt both relieved and heartbroken, but mostly happy about my wife's transformation. In the following days, my wife showed improvement in every aspect. On New Year's Eve, she helped us with the big cleaning, went grocery shopping, and even cooked with us when we got home. These chores were things my wife never touched before. Even during the new year when the housekeeper wasn't around, She would leave everything to us without lifting a finger. As we passed by the clothing section, I noticed a hint of sadness in her eyes. After asking her several times, I found out that she hadn't bought any new clothes for herself this year. In previous years, she would always buy several outfits for herself, but this year she said she had bought too many before and wouldn't buy any for the next few years. How could I bear to see her sad when she had changed so much for the better? On the morning of Chinese New Year's Day, my son and I woke her up and surprised her with the new clothes we had bought for her. She was very happy. After putting them on, she kept looking at herself in the mirror, and the smile never left her face for the entire day. Later on, my wife changed even more. She became increasingly adept at handling work matters and conscientiously took on the burden of caring for the family. If she came home early, she would help with housework. To save expenses, we haven't hired a housekeeper again. She is now a wonderful wife. Not only that, she became much more attentive to our son, who praises her as a good mother every day. Even both of our parents have nothing but praise for her. As for me, I haven't yet started working a regular job, but I still haven't become an unqualified husband. The topic of being qualified or unqualified is no longer something anyone in our family dwells on. As family members, beyond loving each other, what's more important is tolerance. I accommodate my wife, understanding how hard she works, while she keeps our home in perfect order. My wife also accommodates me, never pressuring me to find a job, and even supporting my various entrepreneurial ventures, helping share the burden when she comes home. Of course, I've also done my part. After achieving some success